On this episode of Star Trek Universe, we are discussing a bit of news, including a new Prodigy clip, then Strange New Worlds, 209, Subspace Rhapsody, right after these words from our mystery sponsors.
Welcome to Star Trek Universe, the podcast where you get to listen in on two lifelong friends chat about Star Trek. My name's Matthew Carroll.
I am David C. Robertson.
Dave, how are you, my friend?
Good and tired.
Me too. I'm excited. Again, you're here in person. We have, for really the first one we're doing in the studio, not just in a random room in my house. So I'm excited you're here, man. And we were here really late last night.
Yes, we were.
It was my 40th birthday and our housewarming party for the new house. And we threw quite the shindig, and Dave came over, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was actually worried because when I woke up today, I was so hoarse. Because I don't talk that much.
You're like, I podcast for hours, but I don't talk that much.
No, because it's like I naturally gravitate away from crowds, but what winds up happening is I wind up getting in these conversations with like people, like one or two people at a time, and then we just stand there for like an hour, and then they go back. They're like, okay, well, I'm going back into Matt's karaoke den. And and then like a couple other people come out and they're like, oh, hey, I'm so-and-so. I heard you like Community. Or, something like that. And it's craziness. And also, I was catching up with a lot of people I haven't seen in several years.
Yeah, there were a bunch of people there that were that I haven't seen in several years.
Yeah.
It was great.
Met a lot of great people. Super tired.
Me too. And you talked about the voice. I mean, you can hear it in my voice, but it is scratchy. I was not only screaming and talking over the music downstairs, but I was participating in the karaoke, and I did like some screamo emo music that I should definitely not have tried. My voice is killing me this morning, but I had a great time.
Yeah, I wasn't down there, but I could hear it from the living room.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, so you say we have some news. I don't know of this news yet.
Well, we do. And first of all, they're doing this like 57-year mission convention in Las Vegas. And this isn't really so much news. I thought it was neat. Zachary Quinto was one of the headliners. And, they were being careful. They weren't like talking about anything active or anything because of SAG and those strike rules. But one fan asked if he thought the proliferation of streaming Star Trek shows on Paramount Plus was the reason Paramount hadn't moved forward on another film. And he says, I don't think that has anything to do with it. Actually, I think the more there is, the more it gets people excited about what could be. And he says, I think there's a lot of other stuff, creative things. It's complicated. The fact that anything good gets made is kind of a miracle. I think it's about different people having different agendas and ideas about what will be, and I don't know if and when it will happen. And if coalesces again and we come back and we're able to do it, wonderful. If not, we had a great run. And then they surprised him by bringing out Ethan Peck. So it was both living Spocks on stage.
Yeah.
And they had spoken before, but Quinto says, this is great, right? This is the nature of the universe. It evolves and changes, and we all bring our own perspectives and experience to it. Nothing is more exciting than that. And Peck said, this is momentous. It is awesome to be with you. And he had already talked about like how integral it was for him to have a friendship with Leonard Nimoy, and for Nimoy to sort of pass that baton to him, pass the mantle on to him. And he says, I just want to say before we finish up how grateful I feel to be here, and how I feel like my experience in this world is evolved into other iterations and other forms, and to be able to share the stage with the person to whom I am now passing the mantle to in a lot of ways, who is engaging you in all these stories from the perspective of this character now into the future. It's really exciting. It's really gratifying. You are all really a truly wonderful fan base. And he went on with that, but for quite some time. But I just think that's neat, and the camaraderie between the two actors, and And just having them both on stage is really cool. They put out a Star Trek Prodigy clip for season 2.
Yeah, they did.
It was Dan and Kevin Hageman, the executive producers, at this same convention. And Hageman set up the clip. Kevin Hageman set up the clip and said the gang has just gotten back together because they've been on individual tracks trying to get into Starfleet Academy. And Admiral Janeway has just commissioned them to join her crew on a new mission. And they are on their way to go meet Admiral Janeway. Now, before showing the clip, they talked about how grateful they were about the fan response to Save Prodigy. And he says, right now, there are active talks happening, and I'm being 100% honest with you. We are 99% confident that there will be a new home for our show. And then later on, he says, it's going to happen. We are going to find a new home. And Dan Hageman said, again, they're paying for us to complete the series. Studios don't pay to not show something. It will be seen. So, yeah, you want to talk about the clip? I think it was great.
Yeah, me too. The return of Robert Picardo was pretty great.
Absolutely.
Loved it. And it just, his annoyance with them and Jankum Pog, like after he gives his whole speech about how she believes that you will understand me better or something. He's like, all right, hologram.
And all of that after Jankum Pog, like, kind of shits on Dal and then turns around and goes, sorry, I am trying to be better. I am, being nicer. And then he's just a piece of shit to the hologram, to the doctor.
Photons be free.
But yeah, they showed the new Voyager A. Mm-hmm. And it was gorgeous. And they had that great Voyager score going. And I was just kind of over the moon with it. And really, they even talked about exploring the wormhole they created back to that planet.
Back
57 years in the future, something like that.
Yeah.
From the first season. Yeah. And they're getting Chakotay SOS signals. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited about that. And yeah, I hope we get to see it soon.
Yeah, me too. And it's exciting to hear them say they're paying to finish it, because I was wondering if it was going to, get cut off. But as of now, they are paying to finish the series.
Well, at least season 2. Okay. I don't know. Well, they haven't. No one's ordered more seasons.
Well, the quote you read said the series paying to finish the series. So I was just hoping. I'm hopeful.
Yeah, I'm hopeful.
Probably depends on where it lands and how that works out.
All right, so Canada has been using Crave to get their new Star Trek, and they've launched Paramount Plus, and they've announced that Paramount Plus, except for Prodigy, Paramount Plus is in Canada and will is slowly becoming the home of all Star Trek, except for Prodigy. It's already got all the movies.
It is really dumb that they've.
I know.
Like even if you gotta put it, like, I think they should try to sell it more places. Like, I know it was run on Nickelodeon or whatever, but sell it more places. But why take it off your streaming service and make it the one thing you can't see of Star Trek?
Tax write-off.
I hate it so much. Fucking merge purge, man.
Yep. Over the coming weeks, the rest of the shows will be added. August 8th, that's today, I think, isn't it? No, that's tomorrow. They get The Next Generation, all 7 seasons. August 15th, Deep Space Nine. August 22nd, they get Voyager. August 29th, Enterprise. September 5th, the original series and the animated series.
Okay.
And they still haven't confirmed that they will win or if they'll get short treks. But I assume they will at some point.
Yeah, seems likely.
Yeah. So that's it. That's the news. That's the news cool. I got.
Well, I'm glad to see that Star Trek's getting a home all over the place. Mm-hmm. And I hope Prodigy gets a home somewhere.
Yeah.
Business, man.
I want more, man.
Screws it all up.
All right, so let's talk about this Subspace Rhapsody.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, man.
What do you think?
I am afraid to say.
Well, I can venture forth if you'd like me to go first.
Well, I'll just say this, okay? I'm afraid because I'm not really afraid. I'm cautiously apprehensive.
Okay.
Because I have seen the bevy of hate towards those who have said they didn't love it on social media. So I did not love it. I kind of hated it.
I hate you, Dave.
There were parts I liked.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm not coming from a perspective of, if you listen to this show, like my favorite movie is The Blues Brothers. I love Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. I love Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Like the musical aspect of this is not my issue.
Problem. Yeah.
I didn't love the execution of it. I kind of felt like there should have been an Mbinga Chapel number in there somewhere. They did have an allusion to what happened last week and what they're going through, where they're talking about the secrets they keep, and they did that really cool shot of Chapel and Mbinga looking at each other like knowingly, like like she knows he killed the guy.
Yeah. Well, and that's I enjoyed the musical, but it's not. I have a high bar in my head because of Once More with Feeling.
Yeah.
And Dr. Horrible's Sing-Along blog. Those are two, like, musical, geeky properties that I just, like, absolutely love. And, like, they just pull things off in those. And a lot of the stuff felt trite. Like, what they were singing about or whatever. And part of it being... it felt like they couldn't decide what they wanted to do. The musical, both lyrically and musically, I don't feel like the musical took enough chances or like knew what it wanted to be, because musically it felt like musical music instead of sort of like pushing into different genres. The one exception I felt like being the Klingons, which probably favorite part of the episode.
I knew you were going to love that.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Hated it.
Why?
Well, it was just overly silly in a way that I just didn't appreciate it. I didn't like it. Like, it didn't make me angry.
It cracked me up. Like, I did not expect it to be that, like, hip-hop, pop, boy band sound coming from the Klingons.
Right.
And I love that that's canon. I love that canonically that happened on a Katinga-class battle cruiser or whatever. Like, just so funny to me. And the lighting and the uniforms weren't off from what they needed to be, but they were perfect for that dance number. It's just so good.
Yeah, I just rolled my eyes as hard as I could, dude. Like, I didn't care for it. And what was funny is, like, Bethany looked it up, and apparently they, first of all, by the way, that Klingon commander was Himmer.
Yeah. I heard that.
But yeah, like, they had two different versions. They had already shot a different version of it, where what they were doing was, like, this crazy Klingon opera, which is way more in line with what the Klingons were doing throughout all the other shows.
Yeah.
And then they were like, well, what if we made it a boy band number? And that's what they went with. Now, I was kind of hoping for heavy metal or something, like something like...
Yeah, I can see that. It got me. I will say, like, it got me. And even on a second watch, knowing it was coming, it got me again. I loved it. I thought it was really funny. It's definitely like a silly joke. I'm with you, but I've just really been trying to embrace the silliness that Strange New Worlds has been throwing at us. Yeah, and that was all part of that. But the things I didn't like about this were a lot of the lyrics felt like so. It couldn't decide if it wanted to tell a story in this episode, or if it wanted to like give us an overview of who the characters were. You know what I mean? Like it's like. They're just singing about their general lives. And it's like, I'd much rather, like, just, I can't help but compare it to Once More with Feeling. And it's like, I feel like they even were with the bunnies joke.
Yeah. I mean, they were clearly, referencing that.
Had to be. If for those of you who are not aware, Once More with Feeling has a line where she says, like, thinks it might be bunnies that's making them sing because she hates bunnies. Right. And it's a classic line. She says, bunnies, it must be bunnies. And then in this, she's like, what if we all pop into bunnies all of a sudden? I don't want to be a bunny.
That was my favorite line of the episode, is Mbinga like being like, I don't want to be a bunny either.
It's very funny. I really, really like that.
Yeah.
But so I think they knew they were dealing with that. This is in the light of that other show. And
I mean, they kind of like Buffy jump-started that whole trend of doing a musical episode. So
yeah. And especially like the kind, I think what the problem is with this for me is it felt like a little too just general, let's talk about Star Trek rather than like trying to like tackle the problem. Part of it, like they had the argument with Pike and his girlfriend and talking, that was a little bit of a problem, you know?
Yeah.
But like one of the things in Buffy, because of the music, people are dying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and they had a good premise here. Because of the music, we're all revealing our truths, and not all secrets should be shared. But it was muddled with this fact that like not all secrets should be shared. Big letters, like that's like what the whole purpose.
Right.
But then you had Una singing like 3 songs about how you should share all your secrets.
Right.
So it's like, what's the like point of this episode? Like, what are they trying to say with it? And so those things felt a little like mismatched.
And I thought for sure with that going on that they, with like some secrets shouldn't be shared, this is a security risk, we were going to get like a confession from Mbinga.
Oh, seeing that would have been amazing.
Like a whole song about how he was the butcher of whatever that place was.
That would have been great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree completely. That would have been really good. And I'm sure there's some other secrets. I mean, does the whole crew doesn't know about Pike's future, right?
Right.
Like Pike could have revealed his future, or like some big, like in Buffy, sorry to keep going back, but in Buffy, the culmination of the episode is her revealing her truth that she's been keeping from the cast. And that's what's so amazing about that episode, is it's like a really good bottle episode about music.
Yeah.
But then like it ends with this shattering of the show where every relationship is changed.
Yeah.
And every person is like changed.
Yeah, if anything, I don't think they swung hard enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like instead of La'an talking about how like she doesn't know who this person is that she should be, that's so open and, you know, vulnerable, like maybe she should have had like a big number about time travel and the alternate Kirk dying and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have had a Kirk thing where he's like freaking out because, you know, he's got this girlfriend who's pregnant, and he doesn't know if he can be a good dad while he's, you know, doing his career and stuff. Like that was treated as like a one-line thing, and it was cool to hear about Carol and reference to David Marcus, but you know, at the same time I was like, that's a missed opportunity. They kind of went so hard on a couple of people like La'an, but not in any of the ways that I thought they would.
Yeah, like what if, I don't know, this is just, you know, we already know, we found out this season, the show is happening in a slightly changed universe. Like they've admitted it's changing. And we've had that whole thing last season about like changing of the future and how Pike decided to bring Kirk over, even though he wasn't like supposed to meet him and all this stuff. What if we got this whole thing about like, you know, Una is trying to be like, oh, share your secrets, share your secrets, share your secrets. And then they sort of get to this climax where all the secrets are being shared. And it's with, not on purpose, but with the music.
Right.
And she's starting to question her philosophy. And what if like the conversations with Kirk make him decide to like leave Starfleet?
Dude, that would have been fantastic.
So good.
No.
Like, Kirk decides, like, you know what? The important thing to me is Carol and my son, and I'm gonna and then we have to sit here and go like, what did they do? Did they just destroy the original? You know, like it could have been. And then Pike has to wrestle with like, he changed the future. Who changed the future? Did La'an change it by? Then they have to like come together, like temporal 29th century people started popping in and trying to fix things. Like, could have been a big swing, and instead it's sort of like, let's all sing about our individual jobs and like what's been going on a little bit.
Right. Uhura's always alone.
Yeah.
Da-dee-dee-doo.
And the threat never, like, yeah, sure, the Klingons are coming to blow everything up, but like the threat of like people telling their truth, the Klingons felt like this deus machina coming in instead of like everyone just telling their truth being a problem and causing a bunch of tension on the ship, you know? And that also would have made, if that's the sort of problems it was causing, it also would have made Uhura's song so much more powerful if we saw a little bit more of the problems it was causing. Yeah. We see it with, obviously with Spock, and we see it with Pike and his girlfriend, but that's kind of it, right?
Yeah, and you know what? Like, instead of saving that scene for the end where his girlfriend is telling him, like, well, we're going to have to postpone it because I've got a mission. Since they're telling truth, singing truths, it would have been great if she was singing about... If she and Pike were using, like, the threat of the Klingons and singing about how, like, they can't afford another threat when the Gorn are about to kill everybody. You know, like, they have advanced knowledge of what's happening as far as, like, war in the sector. They know that the Gorn threat is becoming imminent. So if they were, like, revealed... like that she was going on this mission and that she might not come back. If they're revealing that to the crew for the first time that war is pretty much going to happen. This is Gorn. The Gorn are encroaching upon our territory. There's no going back. There's so much that I thought they would do.
Yeah. And I don't think they had to do it all. And I'm not saying they have to do what I think is good. I just didn't. So now we're basically talking about lyrically mostly, and then with the music, I just didn't feel like it went enough directions, like enough, like the songs didn't feel differentiated enough.
Right.
Like a lot of the songs just kind of like in my memory. I've watched it twice now, and I will say the second time I liked it more.
Okay.
I think some of the songs were just a little hooky, and like I started to like know the songs better. Musicals are kind of always better the second time, but like. The songs still feel like, and some of it is they're borrowing melodies from other songs and stuff like that, which is a common musical thing, but like, it just sort of feels kind of flat. The musical, the musicality of it all kind of feels flat to me.
I agree with that. Like, and just going, I feel like this is just what we're going to do. Going back to Once More with Feeling, the songs, I mean, that was gorgeously written. I'm sorry.
I know. I'm sorry, Strange New Worlds. It's hard to live up to it.
I know Joss Whedon's a sack of shit, but he wrote a hell of a musical.
He did.
And all of the individual songs in that episode reflected their own like personal preferences and their own personalities. And we didn't really get that here.
Yeah.
At all. Like
I think with Spock they did a little bit. Spock's songs were all very monotone, like attempting to be like very analytical sounding. The music was very like techno kind of like.
And here's the thing though, like Spock songs I liked
Spock songs.
I liked his revelations.
I know we say a lot of negatives, but I liked all the songs, honestly. There's not really except for the freaking hallway song. I hate the hallway song.
Well, which one was the
hallway?
Una
and Kirk dancing through the hallway about...
Oh, yeah.
Share your truth. Like, I was like, what are you... Like, especially the fact that didn't go anywhere. It felt like that was a setup for, like, share your truth, but then if you share it too much, like...
Well, it did go somewhere. It went to La'an seeing that and, like, understanding that, you know, they were just singing about what she should be doing, but...
Yeah, I guess. I just hated it. I hated it, like, I hated their dance. I hated their song. I just didn't like it. I didn't like the style of musical that it was. It was that old school... boop-a-doop-a-doo musical, and I was like, share your truth.
Now, what I disliked more than that, though, was the bridge song when they're all, like, repeating the same phrase over and over and over and over again.
You mean the last one?
Nope. The first one.
Oh,
the first big bridge song.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't even remember what the phrase was.
It was something like, all things are okay or something like that.
All systems are normal or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and I was just,
Yeah, that one had a few parts that bothered me. The whole thing didn't bother me. There were a few lines. I was like, because it's the first one too, so I'm like sitting on the edge of my seat, like, are they going to pull this off? Or are they not? And there were a few lines in there that I was like, ugh. Ortega's lines were terrible in that.
And once again, she introduces herself. She's like, basically like, I am Ortega's, I fly the ship.
That's what she says, but in musical, which I think was a deliberate reference to that.
I don't care.
A few episodes ago, but like, I'm with you. I didn't
like how much she said it in that episode.
I know.
It's like, is this the only thing like that she's got? Because you know what? Last week she had like real character depth and was awesome.
Yeah. Well, and it's just like, It's this thing of like, you said a thing. That's not a thing you would say in this moment. So why are you singing that thing? Like, it's kind of like you just needed to sing about your station and how it was doing. And that's what everyone else did. And they get to her and she's like, I'm Ortegas. I fly the ship. Also, my station's doing well. Like, it was weird. It was weird.
Yeah. And I was, for just a second, I was like, are they going to go around the ship and have them all introduce themselves in song? Nope. Just her.
Just her.
Thankfully.
Yeah. It could have been worse. But I did really like a lot of the songs. I Am the X was fun. I liked the algebra pun.
Yes.
It was really sad. It was really, really sad. And the inciting song to that was Christine's song, I'm Ready, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Love that song. I completely understand where Christine is coming from in that song.
Mm-hmm.
It's an idea that you should never say out loud, which is, I was dating you, but now that I feel my future is bright, I don't have to settle for you anymore. Like, that's what the song was about. And it's really, really brutal thing to say to a person.
It is, but also I was a little disappointed with it because I at least wanted some reference, and maybe there was, and I missed it. I really wanted some reference to the way where she was left in the episode with the crossover episode with Lower Decks.
Yeah,
where she felt like, I know the future and we're not together because you went your own way. And like, that would be great to pair with her now going her own way.
Right. Yeah, I totally see that. And there's also this idea that, like, at the end of the episode, she has that just realization that, like, her future is so bright and this relationship is not the one for her,
mm-hmm.
which I think is a better way for her to leave things. It's a more powerful step for her,
mm-hmm.
but it's such a terrible thing to say out loud, and especially in song, and like having people carry you around saying how much better you are than this relationship. Like, it's so hard for Spock to watch. But that's sort of the tragedy of, like, you talked about last episode, how you started to see the Christine from the original series when she saw that. And I think you saw it at the end of this episode where she looks at Spock and Spock just turns and walks away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Christine now feels responsible, because even if they're not going to be together, Christine has always been an advocate for him to embrace his humanity, embrace his emotions. And, like, basically she just did a thing that makes him want to shut down and stop. She
may have been the catalyst for what she knows is coming.
Exactly. She really, like, she could be the thing that causes this, like, you know, this beautiful creature that is Spock, that she, like, even though she doesn't want to be with him, she believes in him and finding that balance between his emotions.
Right.
And she might be driving him into the next, like, 15 years of him, like, not following his human side or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And then finally the other crew finally opens that back up in him, you know?
And what I liked about that song and seeing his reaction to it, his song about, you know, he's the eggs, and how he should have, like, stuck with his original plan. It really sinks into, like, that scene from the original series where Chapel, now back on the Enterprise, of course, in the original series, I think it was the Naked Time episode, where she confesses her love to Spock, and she says, I love you, Mr. Spock. And he's like, I can't. And, like, he's like, I don't want to hurt you. And then he, like, traipses off in pain. But, like, I love that there's this, and by the way, she's going to hang out with Dr. Corby, who she's going to be engaged to canonically in like a year's time or so. So I love this notion that with that song, she shatters their relationship and his trajectory as a person so much that when she returns to the Enterprise, she doesn't even call him Spock anymore. He's Mr. Spock.
Mm-hmm.
And theirs is a professional relationship. He calls her nurse.
Yeah.
And he is just disconnected.
Yeah. It's weird, man. It's cold. And I realize it's all like a result of this being written backwards, but, like...
Yeah.
it works, and I like that they're making it work.
Yeah.
The bridging the kind of who these characters are with the characters of the future.
Yeah, I do like the fact that I was at a point where I was like, I don't see how these people are ever going to become the people on the original series, and now I'm going, oh, that's heartbreaking. Mm-hmm. And that's fleshing out the original series in a way that I never thought I would see.
Yeah. It's really cool to see a prequel or anything add context to a previous series that makes you feel like that series is now even more deep and more beautiful.
Yeah, and I'm not hung up on my own personal headcanons or anything. Like, we had books. We enjoyed them. Mm-hmm. This is TV.
Yeah.
They can redo it the way they want.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, you say you've got some feedback?
We do have feedback.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I just want to say I really liked Lawn's song. Like, it was the most emotional of the songs, I felt like.
I think it was.
It was really powerful. Her, like, imagining that version of Kirk being there with her and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, it was really touching. And, like, I don't know. Lawn has been such a hard character to know because she's hard to know, like, in the show, but it makes her hard to know in like, watching the show as well. But they've really, giving her this, like, traipse to an alternate reality where she got to open up, like, it really has, like, changed her character in a really cool way.
Yeah. And, I say that at the beginning of this review, I said, I kind of hate this episode. But also, I kind of hate that it wasn't, like, 2 hours long. Because, like, I was just thinking, like, over the course of us talking, I was like, God, I really would have loved to have seen a Jim and Sam number where they're, like, going back and forth with their animosities. And
see, I feel like if they'd been dancing down the hallway having a brother song about, like, what command is like and what you do in command and da-da-da-da. Like, I feel like that would have been almost more interesting. I don't know. Yeah. Because it's sort of their, like, weird outside perspectives on command or whatever.
Yeah.
Would be interesting. I think that could have been a funnier song. They're, like, poking at each other because they're brothers and they kind of have this. And, like, I would have loved to see them have, like, a song about their animosity between each other, but then it landing at how, like, much they love each other and that they're brothers, Yeah. Yeah, that could have been really great. Yeah.
So, man.
There's just a lot of things that I just immediately think of that I would have liked better than some of the stuff they did. Writing a musical is hard.
Sure.
It's one of the hardest things a show like this can do, and I don't think they did a bad job at all.
Yeah.
It's just, it is standing up to giants, and I can't, it's hard.
Even the Scrubs musical, which I don't love, but I feel like was better than this.
There's songs that are really memorable from the Scrubs musical.
Right.
I don't feel like if you ask me in 5 years, unless I watch it a lot between now and then, I don't know that I'll be able to tell you one of these songs. And I hate that. I really hate that. The hooks are very, like, not hooky.
Yeah.
When I was doing songwriting courses at college and stuff, one of the things you do is you walk around with a notebook and you do what's called hook hunting. You find those words and phrases that are just like, ooh, that phrase really encaptures what I'm trying to say, like that phrase, and that becomes a chorus, a hook of a song. And, like, I felt like in this, they were just writing, the hooks don't feel like hooks to me.
No, yeah.
Like, I can't really think of a hook right now off. I Am the X is, but, like, it's not really a hook. It's it's only said twice.
Yeah, it's like, well, 3 times, but it's a pun.
Yeah.
It's an algebra pun.
Yeah.
One I appreciated, but
yeah, for sure.
I don't know. All right, you want to do the feedback here?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay, Timothy Castillo writes in with an email called "Patak Street Boys Are Back." Hello, Matt and Dave. Space was unzipping. Yeah, the science of this episode didn't make any sense to me, but okay. Does that make space a top, a bottom, or luggage? Do you think space would make a decent carry-on? Maybe it's just a zipper hoodie with a Walkman in the pocket. The performances were all really good throughout the episode. I've been listening to the soundtrack separately as well. It's on Spotify, by the way. And I think the biggest issue I have with the whole thing is that there are songs such as the opening number and the finale that are trying to ride a line between being serious and funny, and they end up being neither. Just kind of awkward.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. That's a really good point, Tim. The individual songs in this are, like, either trying to be They're never swinging for one tone. Like they're going for always sort of the same tone throughout instead of having that sort of swapping back and forth of tones. It's like they're trying to be too respectful to Star Trek to let themselves get too silly, except for the one Klingon moment. It gets really silly.
Yeah, he says the Klingon boy band was really funny. I loved it. No Klingon opera though, missed opportunity, but it does highlight the incongruity of tone. It would have been great if they were just like, instead of being like ashamed of all the singing, they actually were doing opera, like Klingon opera, or like some Klingon heavy metal or some shit, and just like totally into it.
What if they were like trying to get the Enterprise to stop it from turning it off?
I think La'an and Kirk had the most compelling storyline in the episode. I enjoyed her song the most as well. Hey. Christina Chong is becoming a standout, much like Jess Bush is. I wasn't sure about La'an at first, but they're really exploring her character this season, and I like it. Also, I think Paul Wesley is starting to grow on me a bit. I like Spock's reaction to the end of their relationship, but it would have been nice to get more interaction between Chapel and Spock to understand better why Chapel pushed him away so quickly. Well, I think that roots back to the crossover episode.
Mm-hmm.
We're given some little bits, but really this was a bit abrupt compared to where they've been in the last couple of episodes. She got 2 things she's been wanting this season, both of which she had been denied at first, and now she has both and is seemingly ditching him with glee and not even addressing it with him. So from his point of view, I understand why he would come to the conclusion he does. Perhaps he especially has a strong reaction because this relationship encouraged him to tap into more of his human side. Quite a vicious cycle. Something else I really enjoyed about this episode was perhaps just me projecting onto it the idea that this was a fun nod to Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The improbability field concept made me wish that they used it as an excuse to have Jeffrey Combs keep showing up as a different character each time, kind of like the potted plant / whale entity in those books. So long, and thanks for all the Klingon boy bands. P.S. I meant to include this before, but man, that was some super aggressive teleporter control handling. Also, how beautiful were the effects in this episode? Yeah.
Yeah, they really were.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
All of that.
I absolutely think that this is dipping back to, one, Chapel's insecurities about the relationship in the first place, which were exacerbated by Boimler saying, like, this is not the Spock I know. That dude does not smile, and you two were not together. Like, he does a lot of great shit for the galaxy, and you were not a part of that.
Yeah. He's like, I messed it up. And then he looks at her, oh, you're the one that messed it up.
Yeah, man. Andre Sparks writes in, says, hey guys, I thought the episode was good for what it was supposed to be. I was impressed with Uhura and La'an singing. I forgot Rebecca Romaine could sing. Klingon rap was funny. I don't think that was a rap.
It was kind of like rap / pop. It was that like boy band thing.
Yeah, Bethany thought it was K-pop.
That's what I heard people saying. I don't know what makes it K-pop. I don't know much K-pop.
It's just, Korean boy band.
Yeah, exactly. K-pop is basically boy bands, but just more modern.
Yeah. I enjoyed the character development of the series in the most, though. We see the true Spock coming. La'an's conversation with Kirk was so emotional, I wasn't expecting the Carol name drop. Now here's my question. In this timeline, has Kirk put Khan away yet? Because if so, that's got to be a weird talk with La'an, right? Of course he hasn't. He doesn't do that until the original series, Space Seed. Most of the events are still lined up, from what I understand.
So I'm assuming that is one of those events that will have to happen. Now, it could change when it happens. It could happen differently, but I'm assuming it will still happen when he's the captain.
Mm-hmm.
Although that would be interesting. That would be interesting if, like, they did Space Seed now.
Yeah.
Or, like, sooner because of the changes in the timeline.
Right.
And La'an got to be on the ship while this was all happening.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
But then how does that affect Wrath of Khan?
Oh, it completely rewrites it.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Lastly, once again, bad feeling vibes coming. Pike's girlfriend is not coming back from the special assignment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if the little commercial for next week, the teaser for next week,
I haven't seen it yet,
would indicate he's got to go on a rescue mission because she's totally going to fight some Gorn or do something, some kind of special ops mission.
Right.
Like.
Okay.
Oh, Kadoki. Kate Williams 77 says, well, that happened. If reactions to the Lower Decks crossover varied across the fandom, I can't imagine how divisive this episode will be. I, for one, did enjoy it, except for the Klingon bit. What was that? I was expecting Klingon opera, not that dishonorable trash. That was not funny. It was not cute. It was a terrible thing to do to a Klingon. Other than that, it was pretty good. It furthered some of the storylines and had an impact rather than being just a one-off for fun. It's like they thought, okay, the one musical episode most people agree on is the Buffy one. How do we be like that? Further the arc of the season, check-ish. Somebody has to break up, check. I have some emotional devastation, check. Mbinga was clearly the Allison Hannigan of the cast. I do not want to sing. Please do not make me sing. Definite, this line's mostly filler vibes from him. I also love that Chapel's attitude on getting the fellowship spot was, I've worked hard for a long time. I deserve this. It goes along with the Barbie movie of all things. When the Barbies received their awards for various things, they were like, yeah, I worked hard and I deserve this. It was not just gifted to them from some more important man being so generous. I related to La'an's song because I can't get out of my own ways oftentimes because of my anxiety, and Uhura's voice is amazing, so her song was great. But the one I enjoyed the most was Chapel's, even though it meant all that emotional devastation for Spock.
Mm-hmm.
But I did like how this breakup in this way, so public, pushes Spock to retreat back to the Spock of TOS canon. It makes perfect sense that he would behave the way he does in the future after all that, and that Christine would still have feelings, but be hard set against bringing it up. So yeah, I dug it. Interested to see what others thought. Cringy emoji.
Yeah, no, it's really funny. They say how they hate the Klingon part, and they're talking about how divisive this is all going to be. And so it's just funny because in this conversation, you hate the Klingon part. I love it. And we've had listeners write in and talk about how much they love that part and how much they've hated that part. It's really funny. Yeah. It's so divisive. Like, I generally don't listen to other people talk about shows until I've had my podcasts.
Yeah.
But this week I watched it's Trek Culture that does the ups and downs.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't watch that.
YouTuber Trek Culture, I think it's called. He made a really good point that like shows that are memorable, shows that like kind of pass the test of time or whatever, are shows that take swings. Mm-hmm. And this season has been all about taking swings for this show. Yeah. It's not playing it safe. Although I would say that some of the lyrical and musical decisions on this episode played it safe, which stands opposed to like this sort of like ideal that I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. But I do think that this season is a really memorable season of this show. Yeah. And even if this isn't my favorite musical from a show I love, it is going to be one we remember, and it's going to be one we listen to the songs, and it's going to be one when I go to cons that people are performing the songs at karaoke, you know, like. Oh yeah, definitely. It's going to be one of those that like lasts for a long time.
Yeah, and you know, if you guys are out there and you enjoyed this episode and loved all the songs and thought it was pitch perfect, no actual pun intended. I'm so happy for you, and I'm great. And I'm not angry with that or being like, but I'm not yucking your yum, as they say. I will probably skip this on any given rewatch.
Ooh, wow, that's tough. That's an extreme dislike.
Yeah, I didn't love it.
I get not loving it.
It's tedious.
I don't think it's tedious. I think it's good. I enjoy it. I mean, I've already rewatched it just today because we were in a podcast about it, but also like I just really wanted to rewatch it again.
I know. I came in and you were watching it. And I was like, oh,
dang! I knew you disliked it, but I didn't know it was that extreme.
Yeah, I'm sure you knew as soon as I walked in.
There's terrible episodes of Star Trek that you watch anyway on a rewatch.
Yeah.
So. Like,
yeah,
that's saying a lot.
But
I kind of don't believe you, if I'm being honest.
You know what? Like that episode where Dr. Bashir gets possessed in DS9, that's one I always skip.
Gotcha.
He's so bad. He's so bad in that, and I don't understand because Siddig is such a great actor.
Such a great actor.
Anyway, we got one more from Stu Little.
Stu!
Once more with phasing, he says.
Nice.
Yeah. Hello. As he's the musically inclined half of the podcast team, I respectfully request that Matt reads my email this week. Okay. Well.
All right. Pass me the phone. Luckily, I'm here. We're here in person.
Yeah.
All right. Especially since I do have a bit of rhyming at one point that may be more his forte to perform. You think you can handle that, buddy? Sure. Or are you afraid of the big chair? Yeah, I got this. All ship comms routed through one crew member. Uhura should talk to her union rep. The mission they're doing is all fancied up with how they describe it, but they essentially are just trying to upgrade their Wi-Fi speeds for all intents and purposes. Oh wow, they picked a 1930s tune from the Great American Songbook. How bold of the 23rd century space opera show, especially coming from a character who's Kenyan, hailing from a continent that has its own share of harmonic-rich music that continues ranting for 2 hours. In parentheses, continues ranting for 2 hours.
Gotcha.
I like the literal expositional nature of the first song. You don't get many songs about stabilizing systems.
No, you don't. For a reason, I say.
I would contend for a reason. Like, I was watching that first song and I was just like, man, we are all watching the show. Like, you don't have to tell us what the show's about, you know? Like, I felt like they were like, hey, this is Star Trek. And these are what these characters do. And I'm like,
it's like, generally on this show, we shy away from technobabble, but now that we're singing.
Yeah, I did not love that. Returning to Stu's email, if there was any time to have Paul Wesley impersonate Shatner with a spoken word segment, this would be it.
Oh, he's so right.
That's great.
He's so right.
That's great. Oh, man. First off, I don't know how many of you guys out there know the Has Been album by William Shatner.
And Ben Folds, yeah.
And Ben Folds. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Look it up if you have ever heard it. I love it unironically. I love it. Mm-hmm. It's William Shatner performing songs. Mostly he wrote. A few people wrote, like a few other famous writers wrote on it. And like
Nick Hornby.
Yeah. It's really, really freaking good.
It is.
But my aunt, who does not know that I love that, but does know that I love Star Trek, sent me a happy birthday this year with with William Shatner singing Matt Happy Birthday. It's one of those ones where like they just insert
cameo.
Yeah, it wasn't cameo. No, it wasn't cameo.
Oh, okay.
It was like it's like one of those websites where they did this. They did the song, and then they did 1,000 versions of it where they just insert a different name. Mm-hmm. But it was well done. But it was so up my alley. It was like William Shatner singing that complete thing. It was great.
Yeah.
Continuing here, I was kind of hoping La'an would mention that she was caught up in a montage that took her to other physical locations somehow after her song ended. Mm-hmm. I love that Pike didn't actually think blowing up the fold would work. Then he suggested it, was surprised when Spock supported the idea. Mm-hmm. Honestly, this song Una sings to La'an makes me think of the two of them should be hooking up.
I mean, I've been thinking that for weeks, but I mean...
felt dirty to say, but yeah. No. Let's see. Continuing Stu's letter. Let's you forget about it, Jim. In fact, maybe try and behave like you've never heard the name Noonian sing before in the future. I also won't tell you to use a condom because I'm sure you don't need to be told that if you don't plan on having kids with that Carol woman. All right.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understood that, but also it's hard to understand when someone else is reading.
Yeah, especially poorly. This is why Dave reads. Also, I'm reading on Dave's phone and it's tiny. When I read on other shows, I blow it up on my computer screen so it's really big.
Uh-huh.
And I don't have that luxury today, so I'm stumbling more than normal. But also, I wasn't mentally prepared for reading today.
Matt has to do a number of mental exercises.
We do multiverse news, and I read those. I also read for MCU cast a lot of times, but I gotta hype myself up for it. You've ruined us today, Stu. The side of Dave's personality that wanted to save his voice today. I see what happened.
No.
You had that scratchy voice, and the other side of your personality was like, "I'll give you a little break, Dave."
No, you know what? I was, to be honest, I was actually a little excited because I was hoarse, but my voice was way deeper, and I was really getting the Kevin Conroy Batman going.
Ooh,
and I was
I hear it.
Let's keep that going.
That's
and then it
stuff.
eventually went away. It just became squeaky cracks.
Mm-hmm. All right, continuing. Don't worry about being solo, Uhura. You'll eventually get an implied relationship with Scotty until he gets into a jam and has to put himself into a transport buffer cycle that takes him to the next century. Okay, wow. This song really is more depressing with the benefit of knowing future continuity.
Yeah, I did notice that. I did think about that. I'm like, I don't remember her being with anyone except for Scotty in Star Trek V, kind of.
Yeah, just kind of. Is Chapel supposed to be coming off as insensitive with how she's acting about having to break up with Spock? She doesn't even have a private one-on-one with him later.
Yeah, I think maybe the implication is that she's secretly angry to have found out that he winds up breaking her heart essentially and becoming more Vulcan and moving on, but without realizing that she's the one who forces him to do that now. You know what I mean? And also she's excited about this new opportunity. And they said she's going to be gone for 3 months. That doesn't mean she should just break up, but she's breaking up because of what Boimler told her.
I think also, why she says she's ready to move on is because I think it's more than just the Boimler thing. I think it really is she's feeling like she has this bright future now, and the Spock relationship was sort of this thing she was settling for, and it's not really what she wants.
And I don't think she does have that bright of a future. She winds up coming back to the Enterprise and being the head nurse for several years. I mean, she eventually becomes an MD. Mm-hmm. But, it's not I don't know. It seems... It doesn't...
She doesn't know that future.
Right.
This is just how she's feeling in the moment. I found it really relatable.
Right, yeah, of course. But, what I'm saying is, just much like what he's saying with the Uhura song, knowing the future canon, you're like...
Yeah.
Oh, baby, no, this ain't it.
Mm-hmm.
That man's gonna become a robot.
Stu continues, not the lyrics I would have given Mbinga in the closer. And then I'll try to sing this. Got to stay low key. Don't want to blab. Confess to everyone about the guy that I stabbed. Good stuff. Okay, I was worried we weren't going to get to see Klingon singing. That's what I call K-pop.
Oh, that's good. I had Klingon pop.
I do like that it's K-pop. Maybe that's what everyone's saying.
Yeah.
K-pop, not K-pop.
Yeah, I'm a little slow on the uptake.
Yeah, it's still weird that they're... Yeah, I don't know, whatever.
It is weird.
It is just pop. Maybe it's just pop, which is what I've been saying. It's not K-pop. Maybe they just mean Klingon pop. Mm-hmm. And no, I've not gotten that joke the 40 times I've heard it.
Right.
All right. Feeling dumb. Continuing. It's not a window. It's a view screen. God damn it. Stick that exterior shot looking into the bridge up your ass.
I like that. I don't mind. Wait, when did it say in Star Trek, at least in this century, that it wasn't a window?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I don't know why Stu keeps saying that.
I'm assuming it probably is the way that some of the tech manuals were written or something. Maybe it's in the interior.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, I think that's what he's probably referencing and stuff. And
Shit's
probably in
not canon.
other versions, but it's a different version of the ship. A little different.
Yeah. It's a little
Timelines have
different.
changed.
They didn't introduce the fact that it wasn't like an actual window until like Enterprise E, like in Nemesis or something, where we see it like the holographic wall dissipate and we see the view screen.
Right. Well, they as you say, on screen, stuff like
Yeah.
that. At least this version, it's a window, apparently. Continuing. Playing the TOS theme at the end makes me kind of disappointed they didn't try to work more classic Trek music into the numbers. Imagine one sung to the melody of arena fight music just as a side joke.
I'm good.
Jim sings, "Would you like some cream with your Rattagino drums?"
Rocktagino.
Was that? Would you like? He's trying to do it to the theme of arena.
Oh, what were the words again?
Would you like some cream with your Rattagino?
Would you like some cream with your Rocktagino?
No, I'm good, but thanks for asking me, bro. That was supposed to be Sam.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, we scuttled that one, man.
Yeah, didn't do a great job.
We ruined that one.
Pike's girlfriend being out on a Priority 1 mission and saying they'll sort out their issue when she comes back in the season's penultimate episode. Uh-oh.
Uh-huh.
Everyone's like, she did.
She did.
Everyone. All right. Well, that was incredibly fun and charming. I could complain about the pretext to having a musical being flimsy, but since it does actually drive the plot and having a solution to things as well as the stakes it creates, it works. Makes me suspect the finale might be quite harrowing by comparison, especially with the aforementioned stuff with Battelle.
Mm-hmm.
Take care, Stu.
All right. Well, you got your wish.
You got your wish. And just be careful what you wish for.
Be careful what you wish for.
You get a hungover Matt trying to read on a tiny phone.
That's right. Instead of a Dave who's been sober for months trying to read on a phone. I mean, we know something's got to happen, though, with
for sure.
Battelle, because, you know, in the menagerie, she winds up, or he winds up with Susan Oliver again.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't remember her name for some reason, weirdly. What was her name?
Lady in the Cage. I don't know.
Vina. I just watched The Cage, too, with Effie.
Nice. All right. Well, guys, that's all we got today. I have to go pick up my niece from a hair appointment.
Mm-hmm. That's some real parenting shit right there.
I know. It's weird.
Yeah.
And, man, hair appointments. She's got to sit in like a chair for like 5 hours getting hair,
Yeah.
crocheted into her hair.
Yeah, it's like a Klingon makeup thing. Like, Dorn sat there and like...
Oh, yeah,
got
right?
the makeup for like 6 hours.
Yeah.
Every day.
Like, and it's different what's every day versus like once every 2 months or whatever. But like,
yeah,
it's still like, I can't imagine sitting in a chair for 5 hours for like beautification purposes.
No, I don't even go to the, barber shop. You know?
You just razor it down nowadays?
Yeah, I just razor it down.
Yeah.
I won't even bick it. I just
Yeah, you shouldn't. Looks good. I have been going, but sometimes I just trim it up myself.
Yeah.
But I can tell when it's my own trim up. It does not look as good. All right. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I really did enjoy this episode. I know we talked a lot of negatives, but I think it's good. I'm sorry, Dave. It was such a bad experience for you.
Yeah, I mean, it was just boring, mostly.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like, it didn't even like incite rage or anything. It wasn't that kind of hate. It was just like, I'm bored.
Yeah.
I'm ready for this to be over.
I hear that. I really do. I do think that it like did not hit as hard as it should have, just for whatever reason. Just
it didn't set my soul on fire.
Yeah, same. I hate that because I really want to have my soul set on fire.
Yeah, and I'm one of those guys who like I would actually prefer for it to fill me with rage than for me to walk away going meh.
Yeah, well, I think that's like always the way. In a way, you want to have an experience.
Yeah,
and just like feeling like you're just sitting and watching something. Again, I don't agree with that. I think I liked it a lot more than you did. But
yeah,
that's a bummer, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry too. Actually, it bums me out when I don't like a thing.
I know. Well, you guys, we'll be back soon. Have a good day and Jolan True.
And live long and prosper, damn it.
Thank you for listening to the Star Trek Universe Podcast, a Stranded Panda production. If you'd like to hear more from David C. Robertson, check out the DC On Screen podcast or maladjusted.tv for his web videos. If you'd like to hear more from Matthew Carroll, check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast or listen to his music. Just search for Matthew Carroll anywhere you get music.